I always need to record, sorry. So welcome, and it's great to have you here. So why don't we just go around and introduce ourselves? We have a lot of new faces in the room. And Bianca, why don't you just start by introducing yourself? Where are you? And maybe something that made you feel good today.
I'm Bianca and I live in Aurora, Colorado, and something that made me feel good today was the fact that I got a message from a friend I haven't communicated with in a long time because she's just been doing a lot of things. This friend is from Bulgaria, but she lives in England.
Wow. Well, it's so nice that you reached out today. That's great. Thanks for sharing. Andrew, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Andrew Sklarz. I'm a Reform rabbi. I feel very good today about the fact that my daughter won an award in her field, which she didn't know about and shared with us. I apologize.
It's hard to hear you.
Dog in the background.
Well, congratulations. Where are you a Reform rabbi?
I am right now, I'm living in Mountain Lakes, New Jersey, but I'm taking a new congregation in Putnam Valley, New York. Nice. Which is, if you know, the Westchester County area.
Great, congratulations. Yeah. And then what field did your daughter get an award?
She is a producer, so it's in media.
Cool, great, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. My mom's also on the screen. Her name is Sheila Sasson. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sheila Sasson. I'm Melanie's mom. What made me happy is first, we have gorgeous weather in New Jersey. I had a pedicure and I finally solved a problem between Medicare and Emblem and my doctor's office. So that took a lot of time on the phone, but it got solved. So that made me very happy today.
Great.
And good to see my daughter on FaceTime.
Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Rachel, why don't you introduce yourself? You have to unmute. You're muted. Rachel, you have to unmute, please.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm in Waynesville. It's a little town right outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And I heard about you from my friend, Tammy. And she's not here today. I don't see her. She's, I think, in Florida visiting her daughter. And so I wanted, and I studied Kabbalah for many years in Baltimore. We are originally not, but we are from Baltimore, and I missed it so much. And she gave you very high marks. So, so I'm very happy to be here.
Great. Welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peter? Or
Hi. I'm Peter Barrett. I'm here in San Pedro, California, which is the Los Angeles Harbor area. Saw you on My Jewish Learning. It was a 6-year process, but I finally got my conversion done to Judaism. I was pretty much trained in Russian Orthodox and Roman Catholic mysticism.
Wow.
But I decided to convert to Judaism. It was a 6-year struggle. It's almost impossible to find a rabbi to sponsor you. I ended up taking the conversion class 8 times before I got a rabbi to sponsor me. I don't know why they're always so reluctant. But I got through it about a year ago, February 3rd, 2020. And I've been since then trying to define my Jewish path forward. And the Kabbalah that I've seen in some books and some places was very complicated compared to the Russian and the Roman Catholic mysticals that I'm used to. So I'm interested to learn about Kabbalah. It may get confusing and over my head.
We try to keep it grounded. So thank you and welcome. It's great to have you here. Jill, hi. There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Mhm.
Yes. Hi, my name is Jill Munger and I'm from Crescent City, California. Excuse me, my husband's just walking in the door. Hey. Hun, I'm on a Zoom thing.
It's okay.
Thank you. Had to go to the hardware store. Crescent City, California on this rainy day. And believe it or not, there are Jews in Crescent City, California. We had a 30-year congregation called Temple Beth Shalom, and it was closed as a result of the pandemic because we lost the building. But we're here in Crescent City, and we've had many classes on Kabbalah with our past rabbis. And I also attend the Chavurah in Ashland, which is how I found you on the website David recommended. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Where is Crescent City?
Crescent City, California is the last town before Oregon on the California border.
Oh,
So we're 20 miles from the border, and our congregation is partially from Southern Oregon. So we go from Gold Beach all the way to Arcata, California, the coast.
nice. Well, welcome. It's nice to
Thank
have
you.
you here. Denise.
Hi, everyone. I'm located in Denver, Colorado. And what made me happy today is this glorious weather. And I've been out gardening most of the morning. So this is a perfect break.
Sounds great. Good to see you. Hi, Joan. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm in Marblehead, Mass, on the ocean, and actually speaking to, I think it was Rachel. My family's from up here, but I was actually born in Asheville, North Carolina, so it made me homesick when you said that because it's really beautiful. There's something about the mountains there, and what made me happy today is that I just got through a really tumultuous week. I had all kinds of things going on. I had 2 family members who were very sick and 2 people pass away. And so we were like, woo, it was really difficult. But I just kept bringing my peace to myself. And then finally I got out today to go by the ocean again today and give myself some, nourish my own soul. So, and I did a lot of some peaceful songs that sort of are Kabbalah songs. That gave me some peace and grounding again. It gave me a nice vessel. So that's what made me happy today.
Great. Welcome back. It's great to have you here. And I'm sorry about your week. Ginny.
Hi, I'm Ginny, and I'm in Kittredge, Colorado. And I'll show you what's making me happy today. My niece is here. She's a dog trainer, and she's down from Lake Granby, she and Justin. And I'll turn you around so that you can see what's. Hi, Justin. It's Kabbalah. They have 3 dogs out there training them, so I'm just watching, listening and talking and watching them. It's very joyous.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks.
So glad to be here.
Good to see you. Hi. Catherine, hi.
Hi, I'm from Hurley, New York, which is it's about 100 miles north of New York City, and we're around Woodstock, across the river from Rhinebeck.
Mm-hmm.
It's warm today, although the weather prediction is going to be cooler for the next few days, and I'm glad to be here. This is my first meeting with you, so I'm here with to find out more.
Great.
And to learn.
Great. It's lovely to have you
Pleasure
here.
to be here.
Thank you. My mom likes to go to Rhinebeck. That's one of her outings. So
Yeah.
there must be a nice art scene there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tommy, hi. Where are you today?
I'm in Florida.
Oh, good.
Humid Florida, but it's nice. So I'm on mute, or if I disappear, it's because my granddaughter wants me to do something with her.
Okay.
But as long
Enjoy.
as I have time, I want to be here.
Excellent. Thank you. Trinia? Hi, welcome.
Hi, it's Trina, and
Trina.
yeah, I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I really enjoyed it. I was here 2 weeks ago, had to miss last week. I was really disappointed, but I'm so happy that I could get back with the group today. So super happy to be back.
It's great to have you here. Welcome. And I'm so sorry, I forget your name, who has a 986 phone number. With the hi, what's your name again? I'm sorry. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Leona.
Leona.
Stanford, Connecticut, but I don't know how to put my name on there.
I'll fix it for you.
I tried clicking around, but it didn't work.
I got it.
There
Leona.
you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
And what's bringing you joy
And
today?
that's not my phone number anyway. I don't know what number. My number's 203 something something.
Okay.
Melanie, that's my granddaughter's name, but I tuned into you before, and it was relaxing and nice, and you were just so friendly, and I'm alone all the time, so, and you know, a little bit hard. And I don't do what I used to love to do, and because I can't walk anymore hardly, and I have a lot of pain all the time. Now my neck is really killing me. I have ice on it, but I don't know if it helps. But so I just struggle day to day.
Oh, I'm glad you're here.
I enjoy being with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming back. It's good to see you. Sean, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, when you're ready, unmute. Corinne?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Melanie and everyone. I'm Corinne from the island Mauritius. I'm happy to be here to find support in this difficult time. And I really enjoyed my last session of Coffee and Kabbalah last time. Thank you.
Great. Welcome back. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Lee San, welcome. Would you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Lisanne, and I'm in Washington State. And this, I think, is my second time joining, and just I learned about you guys from My Jewish Learning, and just wanted to be around other people who are, who practice Kabbalah and Judaism, and just kind of, I guess, like-minded people and that kind of thing.
Great, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And it's so nice to have friends here from all over the world. So welcome to the folks who are new. Welcome to the people who are coming back. Welcome to the people who have been with Kabbalah Experience for years or months or days or weeks. It's great to have you all here. And as I said at the beginning, Kabbalah Experience is a center for adult spiritual education based in Denver, Colorado. We really use the teachings of Kabbalah with the universal lens. We encourage diversity of thought, experience, religion, and culture in our space. And we really, we kind of straddle that conversation all the time. Are we a Jewish organization, right? Because we're teaching Judaism and we're closed on the Jewish holidays, right, we're not just teaching Judaism, right? We're teaching life and connection and humanity and universal values and experiences. So wherever you are on this journey, you're welcome here. And we're just really happy to have you. So this week, actually, we're coming into Memorial Day on Monday, which is a day of remembrance in America for people who served in the military. And in Kabbalah, we talk a lot about seen and unseen reality, right? And I often think when we do our Facebook postings, right? Why am I posting something about more about Memorial Day? What does it have to do with Kabbalah, right? So that's what's on my mind today. Thinking about how do we remember? What ways do we remember? And how do we honor those who came before us? Remembering whose shoulders we stand on with this lens of Kabbalah. So when we teach Kabbalah, the first class that you would come to is our soul class. And we explain Kabbalah as a study of parallels. We talk about the parallels of seen and unseen reality, your physical, your seen and unseen reality, your physical and spiritual reality. How does the finite hold the infinite, and how does the infinite hold the finite, and so on. So in that conversation, in that realm of remembering, what's coming up for you in this conversation about Kabbalah and making that connection? The spiritual and the physical, and how we remember, how we honor the past and the people who came before us.
Yeah. Well, when you just said that the infinite and holding the finite, infinite, that's very cool. Because I think I mentioned a poem that I had written about. It was sort of about feeling that people we've lost are always around us, and then you were referred to me to a poem about how we're carrying everyone, and I think that's what I did this week, because we have a lot of people who were healers and doctors who had sort of done a lot of groundbreaking things in our family. So as I was trying to help my family this week, I was really bringing them into my being, just like what would they do. And I think that's the best thing we can do to honor the people we've lost, is to live life, to the fullest in our own lives, and also just the ideals that they cherished as well. And it really made me feel, I'm wearing my Choose Kindness t-shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but I just feel like that's one of the most important things, especially given what's going on with Israel. And you think of, there's so much happening there. There's a lot of negativity. And I think that if we just keep channeling our ancestors, and then we know that power, the strength, that'll bring us together. No matter who our ancestors are, that brings you strength and a vessel to sort of carry yourself through this.
Nice. Thank you. Great. And DJ, welcome. It's good to see you. What else is coming up? Rachel, did you have your?
Yeah, Memorial Day for me is because I am from Israel, and I lost, my brother died in the war in Israel, and my cousin died, and my other brother was very badly hurt. And so on Israel Memorial Day, I like candles, Ner Neshama, and I do that also Memorial Day. It was very strange for me when I first came here, that Memorial Day was a big party, because in Israel it's not a big party. It's a very solemn day. So I continue to do it in my house. Lighting the candle for 3-4 people that I lost, and praying and trying to be with Jews around me. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. We spent a year in Israel when my husband was in rabbinical school. And I remember looking for yahrzeit candles. A yahrzeit candle is a remembrance candle that you light on the anniversary of someone's death.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what they were called in Hebrew, right? So I'm like going into all these stores, I'm like, do you have these candles that'll last for 24 hours? And Ner Neshama is a candle, right? Or a flame, and Neshama is a soul, right? And your Neshama is your soul. So it's interesting that, when we teach at Kabbalah experience, we talk about our souls being connected to light, right? At the beginning of the Torah, at the beginning of the Bible, it says, God says, let there be light, Vayihi Or. And that Or, right, is written with an Aleph. It's Aleph Vav Resh. Let me grab it. Hold on.
I'm loving how these words are all touching on my children's Hebrew names.
What are their names?
I've got a Tova Neshama Rafaela, and I have an Orly Eden Shifra. And you think, Orly means my light,
right?
And and I'm like, oh, this is great. All these root words in my baby's names. I love it.
Nice. All right. So at the beginning it says, right, Vaya Hior, let there be light. And what the people who are studying the Torah struggled with was, so what's this light that was being created, right? Because on day 4 is when we have the stars and the sun and the moon and the celestial beings. So what's the light from day 1? And we start to understand this is this primordial light energy, right, that connects us all. And it's written like this in Hebrew. So it's said or, right, and it's written Aleph Vav Resh, and that's light. It's like a light energy. And then what's interesting is when Adam and Eve are kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? What happens to them? Hi, Buzz. It's good to see you.
Hi, nice. Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're always welcome whenever you show up. You're right on time.
Thank you.
Thanks. So what's the or, right? I just gave it away. What's the parting gift for Adam and Eve when they are kicked out of the Garden of Eden? They're given garments of skin, coat, note, or, right? So phonetically, the or is the same, but it's spelled differently.
Right.
Right. So it's written with an ayin, and it's but also pronounced or, but it's translated as skin. Sorry. So what the Kabbalists write about is that perhaps, right, when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, they were energy beings, right? They were or beings, but then when they were kicked out, they became skin beings, right? Their or of skin was containing their or of light and energy. And if we believe that energy and matter are neither created nor destroyed, oh, look at that. Is that Orly's name? Cute. Here, I'll spotlight you. Hold it up again, DJ. I'll spotlight it for you. There you go. That's sweet.
I really believe that it's more than just energy, though, to be honest.
Okay, so what do you believe?
I mean, I believe that this light in the beginning is more. I can't really say exactly, but I just don't just think it's energy. I mean, it can be, but I really believe that saying it's just energy takes a lot away from it.
So maybe it's also, how do we explain that light energy, right? And one of the things we talk about is when we have trouble understanding a word in Hebrew, we can look at its gematria, right? It's Hebrew numerology, which is like every letter in the alphabet has a number associated with it. So the word or, its gematria, the or of this light and energy, is 207. So what the Kabbalists did was they looked at other words that had the same gematria. And the 2 other words that came up were Raz, which means a secret, and Ein Sof, without ending, right? So again, this connection to the infinite. So it's almost like this hidden light energy, right? It doesn't have end. That's connected to the infinite.
That's just it.
Oh, good. Right. So yeah, it's not just energy like that's coming through the wires. It's connected to this primordial infinite light. And again, that's that idea where we make a connection between our physical and our spiritual reality, right? Our seen and our unseen reality, physicality and energy, right? The stuff we can't see. Like if you've ever seen a Reiki energy worker, a therapist, right? They can feel your energy or affect your energy just not by touching you, because you have an energetic field around you. And some people can see it, right? And what do we call that when we could see the colors on somebody?
Aura.
Right, an aura, right? So that again connects to that light and energy that we're talking about. So when we think about the folks, right, the people that served, we're bringing up Memorial Day, right? And the idea of honoring and remembering the people that came before us and the people that served in our military. Perhaps, this is an opportunity for us to think about that or, right? That or from our parents and our grandparents who might have served in the army. I know my grandfather served overseas in World War II when my mom was just a baby. You know, there's still, unfortunately, there's still wars going on all over the world, right? And how do we hold on to the energy of those people, and how do we honor their energy and their spirit and their efforts to make our world a better place? DJ.
If I could share something we've been doing in my family to, actually we've been discussing all wars and generations. Something we've done during the pandemic is to reach out to our family, different generations. And we've been having regular Zoom meetings, and it's basic some new cousin shows up every time. It's like, if you're related to Abraham and Sarah Sokolic, you're invited. And it's been amazing because we've talked about, all the different generations and the brothers of my great grandmother and their sisters and their war times. And turns out we had no idea that my cousin he's a three-star general, and he was like in the Department of Defense office for Obama's administration, and he like ran Delta Force. We're like, wait, what? You're my cousin? So we've really, and with my background in Holocaust history and restitution, we've had some very fascinating discussions about all kinds of wars, back from World War I all the way to like Gulf Wars, Persian Gulf. And it's really been an incredible way to learn about more of our family. A lot of us do genealogy. We've been adding all together to the family tree, and it's to learn about our family and reach out and honor everyone that hasn't been honored, and like learn more about our family and all the amazing things we've done. And that's been a way that we've been actually making new memories about old memories. It's with our family and new family. So reaching out I recommend it. It's really enriching.
Nice. Thank you. Right. The more we tell the people's stories, right? The more we say their names, when we name children after people that we want to remember and honor, right? Or when we choose names for ourselves, right? Of people that we want to remember and honor. That's part of, right, keeping that light alive. And actually this semester, I teach a class on time because it fits beautifully between the holidays of Passover and Shavuot. Passover, when we leave the slavery of Egypt, to Shavuot, when the Israelites received the Torah at Mount Sinai. And there's this period of counting. We call it, the counting of the Omer. It's 7 weeks, so it's 49 days, 7 sevens. And each day has an intention around it based on the energies of the Sefirot, or the tree of life. And we teach this only in the spring semester because it really helps us focus in on the idea of counting up versus counting down, and how do we sanctify time, and how do we live more intentionally in the present moment. And the class I taught yesterday was about Einstein's theory of relativity. Has anyone here a physicist or studies that? It's really interesting.
I almost majored in astronomy, so I've got a little knowledge.
Okay. All right. So this is how it works, right? If you picture that we're sitting still, right? And our watches are ticking, our clocks are ticking. We're not really still because we're on the earth, and the earth is rotating and revolving around the sun. And then but we all appear to one another that we're sitting still because we're still in relation to one another, right? But if a car drives up the street, that car is moving faster than us. And what Einstein found, and then has been proven, is that time is actually affected by speed. So when an astronaut or a rocket ship pummels through space at an incredibly fast pace, the time on the ship is different than the time on the Earth. So for example, there were two astronauts who are identical twins. And when one went up to the outer space for a year and the other one stayed down on Earth, and because the other one was traveling so fast, he aged slower than the one that was on Earth. And there's also an experiment where there are two atomic clocks, and one was put on an airplane flying around the world, and the other one was left on the ground. And the one that flew around the world really quickly ended up, ended up being slower, right? Because it was traveling faster. So they say, right, the speed of light, and I don't know what the space-time fabric is, but I think I've seen an image about that. But if you say the speed of light is a constant, right? It's always the same ratio. The ratio of time to space, right? Not outer space, but physical space. How we move through time and how we move through physical space are always in relation to each other. So if we go faster through space, we're going slower through time, like if we're in outer space. And if we go slower through space, we go faster in time. It's complicated, but it always makes that constant of the speed of light. Now, what's interesting to me, which I've just kind of been playing with this week, is, thank you, Jenny. It's good to see you. What's interesting to me is that the three areas that we study in Kabbalah are time, space, and soul, right? So instead of time, space equaling light, how are time, space, and soul related to each other? And I've been playing with that a little bit. And then it's also interesting to me that if we look at time and space as relation to soul, and we look at soul as relation to light, right? You know, what's that connection? If we're looking at or here, light and soul are connected, right? That's or. And then another fun fact is that there were a group of scientists who found out that they could actually slow down the speed of light. So then it became not a constant anymore, right? They sent these photons through a mask, and then when it went through the mask, the waves, the light wavelengths slowed down, and then they continued slowed down. So now these guys that were experimented on going through this mask slowed down, and then the constant, right? The regular photons traveled still at the constant speed of light. So then what they found is it is actually possible to change the speed of light. Right. But then what does that have to do with our relationship to time? What does that have to do with Kabbalah? What happens to us when we get stuck in the past? Right? That metaphor of being stuck in the past. Do we know how to live? Are we able to live in the present if we're stuck in the past?
Very difficult.
Right. So say more about that, Rachel. Do you go by Rachel or Rachel?
Rachel.
Rachel. Great. Raquel. Thank you. That's like the New York Rachel.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. So tell me, what does that mean to you when you think about this idea? Hi, Nancy. It's great to see you. We're going in a lot of different directions right now, but the question is, we're looking at the time space, the theory of time and space, and Einstein's theory of relativity. And if light is a constant, because of course we talk about physics and Kabbalah, if light is a constant, how does our relationship with time affect our relationship with space? And if we connect light to soul, right, and we think about time and space, if we're stuck in the past, how does that affect how we live in the present, or how we manifest time?
I feel like it slows you down. It's like resistance, it pulls you down, but it's not letting you live fully in the present at all. But you do want to carry part of the past with you. But I did have something to say, but about, I think last week a couple of people were here, but I was talking about my near-death experience, and I think I mentioned that to you when I wrote you, but this was like flipping me out, right? Because that's exactly what I experienced. It was like everything slowed down, but it was sped up in a different way. Like I felt my whole life running through me in a very fast way, but it slowed down because the whole thing seemed very long, even though it was just a few moments. And then the other part of it is that it was sort of like at the Mayan thing where there's the circular calendar where all the moments touched. So I could feel when I was there, I felt the interconnectedness of all the souls, like the light, the one soul light. But it was also that I could, afterwards, I not only could I feel the things that had happened, but things that were going to happen. So they were all one. So space, time, and soul were all one. If that makes
sense. The Kabbalah speech, right? It all comes from one, right?
Yeah, because I saw things that I didn't know were going to happen, and then they did happen. But it was just wild. It's just really beautiful because there's no really there. It's all here, if you know what I mean. Anyhow, I thought.
Yeah, there is no there, right? When my son asks me, "Are we there yet?" I'm like, "We're right here, right? We're where we need to be right now." And I think that's part of life. You know, we talk about this a lot, is the idea that we're not always on the path we imagined we would be on, right? Whether it was 1 year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. But we are where we need to be at this very moment, right? And then the choice that we have of how do we show up in this moment. I think a lot about the idea of not holding this moment, right? Any experience with judgment as it being, you know, is this innately good or innately bad? The question is, it is, right? How do we approach it with curiosity? How do we explore what we're holding that at this moment, to be more aware of it and to engage with it in a way that's meaningful?
I heard something really, I either heard it or read it. It was very simple. It said one of the greatest blessings about being in the here and now is that we're not holding regrets or anger from the past, and we're also not filled with anxiety about the future. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's also very difficult to experience it. I mean, because you are worried about the future and you're angry, some anger about the past, and it's very difficult to get rid of it.
Yeah.
To give it up, really.
Yeah, I have a great quote about that. Let me see if I can find it. The idea of, you know, it's always, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yes, that's right.
And we can't get stuck in the past either, because it doesn't serve us, right? All we have is this moment. And if we spend our life saying, oh, it'll be better when, right? It'll be better when I graduate. It'll be better when I get married. It'll be better when we have kids. It'll be better when I lose 10 pounds. It'll be better when I'm a millionaire, right? Like we're not going to be in the moment. So there's this great, here we go. I'll find it in a second.
I just want to say one other thing I was noticing since I've been doing all this gardening work, it was the thing that my father absolutely loved. It was his greatest passion. And I've never really had a chance to do it because I haven't been living here in Colorado for a long time. And for the first time, I actually feel like I'm connecting with my dad simply through doing something that he loved and finding bulbs that I'm sure he planted that have been hidden behind weeds. And if I need a tool, I'm like, I can just go to Home Depot and get it. And I walk in the shed and I'm like, of course, my dad has everything that I could possibly need to continue on with his passion. And I'm getting to know him, and it's remarkable.
That's amazing, right? And that's, again, the idea of how do we stay connected? How do we stay connected to the past without living in it, right? You're creating, you're bringing life to this.
And I think that's the important thing. How do you stay connected to it without being stuck in it? That's brilliant.
So here's the poem. It's by Spencer Johnson from The Precious Present. And he says, it is wise for me to think about the past and learn from my past, but it is not wise for me to be in the past, for that is how I lose myself. It is wise for me to think about the future and prepare for the future, but it is not wise for me to be in the future, for that is how I lose myself. All right, what does that evoke for you?
Well, he didn't say anything about the present.
True.
So he said about the past and he said about the future, but what's going on with the present? So how do we deal with it, not thinking about the past and not thinking about what's going to happen in the future?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have to worry about getting dinner on the table and, you know, getting gas in the car before we go on a road trip, right? Doesn't mean don't be planful, but it's like, don't be obsessed with it. Don't spend your life living in the future. You have to be in the present. Buzz, what are you thinking? Oh, sorry.
I'm thinking that here and now is a very big concept, the whole interplay of time and how we frame time. We move through the cubes of time thinking about the past, thinking about the future, and jumping through the present.
Mm.
Somehow that Rachel's statement was very important. He spoke about the past, he spoke about the future, but we are here and now. The past and the future are still swinging within us. I mean, I'm thinking about hoping for a future and relishing a past because it's all I got.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's right.
But then to experience this frame of time in the here and now is a very deep challenge.
Well, especially since the present is like here and gone in a snap, right? It's like a train whooshing by. Right, Mom?
The present is in flux.
Yeah.
It was a few minutes ago in Kabbalah and time and space, and now it's in an element of feeling of where we are, what we are, who we are, and what we might be. That's kind of interesting. That inspiration of Denise was outstanding. To think that those tools in the tool shed and her playing with earth are bringing back images of a father that she never really reached. Just like the past, the future, and us. You know, it was there, but she didn't know it till she knew it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in answer to your question,
That's a great answer.
that's
Thank
where
you.
I am. It's wonderful. These inputs from the different sides of people that choose to input what they want. Joan's input of this experience that, we all played with her. Yeah, I studied Kubler-Ross at college. She claimed she had a out-of-body experience in death, this, that, and the other thing. But here's Joan with instantaneous recollections that keep popping in and out of time, her time.
Yeah.
The ability to share that is interesting on all levels.
Yeah.
I'm, if you just, once again, you asked me where I was very much moved with Denise's experience. It took me somewhere. I want to go somewhere. I want to smell my father's clothing, maybe. I don't know. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Mom.
I also related to Denise. After my dad passed away, I just wanted to plant. It was like touching him and being a part of him. And I was never a planter. I don't think he was an excessive planter, but I was going to say that, you kind of gather the seeds of your past. It brings you to who you are right now and hopefully makes a statement for your future. But I think we all need our past to bring us to our present in many ways.
Yeah. Right. We can't walk away from our past.
No.
Where our present is always informed by it. But I love this idea of, the grounding of the earth, right? When we talk about the tree of life, I'll show you our logo here.
I have a bit of a question.
Okay.
I don't know I guess it's a little bit related, but would you say it's okay to save a lot of things that we had in the past, or do you believe the best thing to do is let them go?
It's interesting, Bianca. When we talk about being stuck in the past and living in the past, we think about what's our narrative, right? So what's the story that's informing who we are now? And if we hold on to the past, and I could share this, an article with you, but sometimes we hold on to the past because we want to recreate it, right? We want to go back to our high school reunion to remember the person that we were then. Or we want to change that past, right? We want to say, well, I am who I am because of this past, and you hold on to it and you harbor it. So I think part of the question is how is it serving you, right? Thank you, Leona. Nice to see you. How is that serving you, right? How are the objects serving you? How's that narrative serving you? We talk a lot in Kabbalah about our metaphors and our metamorphs, right? Our metaphors are our narratives or our stories that we carry with us, right? Be the healer, be the smart kid, be nice, right? She's the artist, she's the troublemaker, right? The story, the narratives that came with us. Someone in one of my classes this morning was talking about, her dad always said, don't become like your mother, right? Like that was the narrative she was raised with. And then she grew up feeling this like fear of becoming her mother. And all of a sudden developing this, and it wasn't in a kind way. And now she's developing this different compassion for her parents as older people and trying to understand where her dad was and where he was coming from, right? So that narrative isn't serving her. Right now she's reframing that narrative, so she can shape her role as a wife, as a partner, as a mom. It sounds worse than it was, but that was the line that she got. Right, so when we have our narratives, our metaphors, we also have our metamorphs, like the stuff that we carry with us, right? Sometimes our metamorphs are the different masks we wear, the roles that we choose to play in life. Sometimes it's our characteristics that we emit, right? Or art that we have up around the house. That our metamorphs are sharing our metaphor, right? Are sharing our story. And Nancy, I'll come to you in a second. I just wanted to point this out. This is our logo for Kabbalah Experience, but it also represents the tree of life or the Sphirot, if you've ever studied them. And this green one is Yesod, right? Which is the foundation. And we often connect that to the earth, right? So while you're talking about the idea of gardening, right? Of connecting to those parents or people we love that, when we garden, we feel more connected to them. I think there's a very significant connection between the idea of Yesod, of our foundations and having our hands in the earth, right? That's like that sense of interconnectedness, like an aspen tree. So, Nancy.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a fascinating discussion. I wish that I could have joined you sooner. I don't want to ramble.
Go ahead.
I've got so much I want to say. I'm thinking of the past, present, and future. All we have is the moment and right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, our past, you may have said this, our past helps to create who we are right now. What we do right now helps to create our future. So if I attempt to live in the present, there's plenty that I am now personally scared of for the future. Yet in order to enjoy the present and be a whole person, I have to stay in the moment and yet I still have to plan for the future. So we can't ignore the past or the future. I believe the job is to live in gratitude and enjoy what we have. As an aside, I have a friend of many decades who hasn't grown over the years. Whenever we get together, what do you think she talks about? Oh, what you're wearing reminds me of what you wore when. What we're eating now reminds me of what you used to cook. Everything is reminding her of the past.
Right.
It's not a pleasant experience. There's nothing wrong with my past. This is my grandson. Adam, I'll call you right back, hon. Thanks, bye-bye. He's on the road trip, going to his summer adventure. Can't ignore those grandchildren. And so I'm suggesting at a personal level, I'm challenged, personally challenged, to stay in the moment and enjoy it and look at all the goodness, ergo this phone call, because this is what my life is. It's not what lies ahead, and we don't know what lies ahead.
Right. And for any of us, I mean, that horrible tragedy in Italy, right, with the cable car that crashed. There was a family that left Israel because they wanted to get out of the fighting, and they thought they'd have a vacation in Italy, and then they were killed in the cable car crash.
Right.
Right. All we have is now.
The couple that died, he actually was in school in Italy for medical school, and he worked at the Jewish Community Center in Milan. Why I know it is because my niece's husband is the president of the Jewish Community Center. So he, in the paper, when he wrote about him, about the father that died with the mother and the parents-in-law that came to visit them, and the child, and one of the children, I don't know, I saw something, but I couldn't get it, is they're operating on him and wanting, I don't know what it is, but it's, yeah, it's a horrible tragedy.
Yeah. And we don't know.
Yeah.
Every day we just have to have today because we don't know. Thank you for sharing that article, DJ. I'll check it out later. Right. And the idea is, you know, when we think about the idea of sanctifying time and living in the present, right, that the best model of that we have really is the Sabbath. And if you've ever read slower in time, right, when we meditate, right, when we're experience moments of transcendence, right, when we're able to be still, right, whether it's Judaism or Buddhism or any kind of intentional sitting, right, time moves a little bit slower, right? My Friday has 24 hours in it, just like my Saturday, but my Friday goes by really fast because I'm hustling and bustling and trying to get my act together. And then Saturday is like never ending. Right? Like it's the idea that our days are the same, but they're not the same, right? It's relative, right? The way you experience yesterday is different than the way I experienced yesterday. And what's interesting also is, you know, if we look at the 18 of us on this screen, right, we're coming from all over the world, right? All over different places in life. We're all bringing our narratives to the shared space, but there's a reason that all of us showed up here together at this moment. Right? And this is something we talk about in Kabbalah, is the idea that we're all pieces in one another's puzzle, right? We all have something to give to fill up somebody else's puzzle, to fill somebody else's bucket, right? I'm always learning from each of you. And the stories and the experiences and the insights that you each share is what adds to our conversation and adds to our experience as humankind.
I just wanted to say something too. I really think Kabbalah is such a wonderful way to, it's like a grid to hold us or something. Cause I'm looking at the number thing that you said, and I'm into math and science, but when you talk about 207 and that's the light and the secret and without ending in soul, it's like, it's just so beautiful because at least it gives sort of a reference point. Like you might feel all these things. And then when you see it, that the math works. And I think I mentioned about the, Kabbalah yoga. I mean, it's a part of everything. And it's so beautiful to feel a place where you can reference it. And I say the thing about the light, when I was feeling lost in the pandemic, it felt like a long Shabbat, light the Shabbat candle.
Happened?
And it was really cool. It just sort of gives you a place to feel like everyone's with you.
Yeah.
Like a Shemitah year.
No.
Right.
You believe.
Right. That every 7 years, right, is a sabbatical, and every 49 years, right, we let our fields rest. The idea that maybe when I'm 49, I should take the year off. That's something to think about. All right, DJ, I'm close. Right. But right, what does that mean?
Then you would also have to take your 50 off.
Yeah, right. But what do you think about like the idea of the land laying foul, or a fallow, right? Giving our bodies, giving the earth time to rest, like understanding that the earth is going to keep turning, whether or not we're creating and trying to control space, right? You think we're commanded.
I think there will come a time when we will be able to do that. Obviously not now because that's impossible, but there will come a time when we will be able to practice that again, and oh, what great that'll be.
Well, in Israel, they do still observe the Shemitah. So
Do
they
they?
do,
In
yeah.
what way?
It's different than I think, and I haven't been there for it, so maybe some of the Israelis can explain it better than me, or other people who are more informed. But the idea is that the land lays fallow. So, but I think sometimes, they'll import the fruits, right, rather than getting it out of Israel during that year. Or maybe the Jewish people will sell their land. So that there's kind of a fence around it, right? So that then it's not Jewish land, so it doesn't have to lay fallow. But right, at 49 years, everything gets returned. It was actually one of the Torah portions we read recently. I don't know if anyone wants to elucidate on that more.
Really? Because I was told it wasn't practiced anymore, but I don't even know who to believe anymore.
No, Buzz, do you want to?
Yeah, in the early years when I worked on Kibbutz Sasa, when it was Shemitah, the land was left to rest, and they had stored up in advance. There were other ways of procuring the necessary victuals and other things to survive, but the land did lay fallow for a year, and then it went on again for the next year. So there are different ways. There are all levels of religiosity in some of the farming areas of Israel. I can't call them kibbutzim or moshavim anymore. They are different kinds of farms, and more on a Western, the Western idea that we're familiar with now. But they do work out the scheme, as you say, put a fence around it, sell it, lease it, and it fulfills the obligation, the necessary mitzvah.
Yeah.
The Prose Bowl, the canceling of all debts and other things this has been handled throughout the years. But back to Kabbalah, I just want to say that you dealt with time. You dealt with Einstein. Einstein could be a study of Kabbalah himself if you look at all the material, all of the statements that are strung together in the name of Einstein. The last thing is, as I immerse in the pool of Kabbalah, and we're dealing with the here and now, it's an ecstasy. It's an ecstasy. It's scholars and students and those of a nature of a mindfulness, let's call it now, it's a contemporary statement, of an attitude to want to experience the ecstasy of the here and now and its linkage to all of the other things we spoke about, the movement of the earth, the place that we have, and the divine. The divine is essential. And that's part of where I am on this threshold of things.
Yeah, I mean, it's also that conversation of, that we're not in control, right? Like there seems to be something greater than us, that if we can let our land lay fallow and there's still food to come, right? If we could exist in the present and the future will still come, right? There's a story of Adam, the first day of the first man, that was created, and had his first sunset. And he thought the world was coming to an end because he'd never experienced darkness before, right? And then the next day, the sun rose. It was amazing, right? But he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't predict it. He couldn't control it. But he just had to be in the present, right? And there's so many stories, both from Jewish mystical and Buddhist teachings about the farmer who says, we'll see, right? The farmer and the horse. Do you guys know the story? That a farmer, a very poor farmer lives in a very poor village. And one day a horse shows up in his ranch, I guess. And his fellow villagers say, "You're so fortunate. You have a horse now." And he says, "We'll see." Right? And then the horse runs away and everybody says, "Oh my gosh, you lost your horse. That's terrible." And he says, "We'll see." And then the horse comes back with another horse, right? They say, "Oh, you're doubly rich now. You've been doubly blessed. You have 2 horses." And he says, "We'll see." And then his son gets on the horse to train them. And he's thrown from the horse and he breaks his leg. And everyone said, "Oh, those horses are such bad fortune. It's too bad that they ever came to you." And his response is, "We'll see." Right? He's just holding the present. And then the generals come around to conscript young men into the army. And they don't call his son into the army because he has a broken leg. So they say, "This is your fortune." And he says, "We'll see," right? You never know what's going to come next, right? But we'll see what comes. We'll see what it is. It's neither, right? The experience is neither innately good or bad. It's what am I going to do with it at this moment? How do we hold even our adversity from a place of curiosity and wonder and try to understand it rather than judge it? So with that,
go now.
okay, I'm going to
Goodbye.
sign off. Also, I just have a closing thought. As we head into this Memorial Day weekend, my blessing, my hope for each of us is that we can honor the past, right? Bring the light of the people who served our nation and our nations to light, right? To memory. Use their names, talk about them, and keep moving forward, right? Because of them, because we can, because of them, right? Whether it's our friends and family who served in the Israeli army or the American army, or whatever armies they might have served in, that we wouldn't be here if we didn't have the past, right? But we have to keep moving forward because we have the past. So thank you guys so much for being here. Shabbat Shalom. And
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having this conversation. Thanks for bringing Raquel today, Tommy.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
See you next week.
DJ, thanks for sharing that article. Take care.